Afternoon, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest special show here on Up the Cherries in All Departments. Before I welcome on my special guest, here's a little bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. To find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. Now, my show today is about Eddie Howe and his remarkable job he's done at Newcastle. We know about his job he's done here, getting us from -17 all the way to the Premier League, with a little bit of a spell at Burnley in between, but we won't mention that. But he's pulled Newcastle from winless in the relegation zone after Steve Bruce all the way up the table to 11th. Remarkable job. Again, did we ever doubt him? I didn't. But at the same time, I thought it was a tough job. To discuss the fantastic job he's done here, I've got a YouTuber who's got a wide following. It is a pleasure to welcome onto the show John Sinclair. Afternoon, John. How are you?
Big up to you, my guy. How you doing, Craig? You okay? Just thank you very much for having us on. And it's been a while, but here I am.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us on what is a very special show, discussing probably the greatest man to ever step inside Bournemouth, Dean Court. So, yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on, and it'll be interesting to find out a bit more about the story at Newcastle and what he's done and how he's changed things there, because it's a remarkable story. So, of course, Eddie played for us in two separate occasions. He was with us initially and then come back after it was a bit of a Eddie fund that we had to actually raise as fans to actually get him back to the club, and then eventually becoming manager and dragging us all the way from -17 to the Premier League. How much was you aware of that story, John, before he took over?
I think that's an amazing story from Eddie Howe. I mean, you can write a story about it, but make a film of it as well. What he has done to your club is absolutely unbelievable. Gone through the leagues, right? He temporarily left you to Burnley, came back to your club, right? And he picked up where you were, and he just got all the way. Eddie Howe has done a magnificent job. He knows the club, and he's a legend there. The players love him, and I just absolutely fantastic, and he is an absolute legend to our club, and it's next to be in folklore anyway at Vitality Stadium. And look, it's a story. It's like absolutely amazing. It really is.
It was remarkable considering he took over from Jimmy Quinn on the 31st of December 2008. We were in dire straits, and Eddie managed to pull us through, helped us survive that season, and then it was onwards and upwards. He did go to Burnley, but he come back, and like you say, he picked up from where he left off. And the great thing about him as well, John, was that he picked players out of nowhere. So the likes of Harry Arter, Mark Pugh, there was all sorts of players that he bought in. He brought Steve Fletcher back to the club, somebody he knew from his time playing here. But again, a remarkable story. If Fletcher hadn't scored that goal, we might not even be in existence. Of course, he left when we were relegated during the COVID season, and he had a bit of a break. When there was a rumour that Newcastle were interested in Eddie Howe, what was your initial thought? Was it a case of, look, we've had Rafa Benitez, we've had Ruud Gullit, we've had all these big name managers, and Eddie feels like a bit of a step back? Or was it a case of, look, this is an up and coming English manager who's really exciting and done a fantastic job with Bournemouth?
Well, when the new owners took over the club, I thought he was going to go for a bigger name than Eddie Howe, to be fair. We've been linked to big names. Unai Emery is one of them. We're linked to other big names, Jose, because there's rumours that he was on set of the Roma. I could be wrong on that. But at the end of the day, what happened was, when his name was mentioned, I thought, okay, I mean, he's young, he's English, he took a break, and he's a young, exciting manager. I wouldn't mind having him a go. Do you know what I mean? I thought Graham Potter's on that list as well. I would have taken him. But it was a short list between Unai Emery and Eddie Howe. Unai Emery was our owner's preferred choice, but he turned it down because he wanted to stop at Villarreal, and we unsettled him as well, and he didn't want to do business that way. So he stopped Villarreal, and then they turned to Eddie Howe, and he came in, and I thought, okay, I'll take him, give him a chance at a big club. He's a young manager, and he's going to be destined to the very, very top. He's done fantastic at Bournemouth. He got you out through the leagues, kept in the Premier League for a long time. Hey ho, and I'll give him a chance. And since he's taken over, let's be real, I thought the rest is history. He changed the club. He changed the players' dieting, fitness as well, fitness regime as well, the training methods as well. Because when Steve Bruce was there, he only trained about 2-3 times a week, which is absolutely unbelievable. Players was not fit at all whatsoever. And players are laughing at Steve Bruce thinking it's a holiday camp. Eddie Howe came in, trained every day, right? The players looked 100% fitter under him. He played a footballing style like he did at Bournemouth. And let's be real, I think this guy is brilliant. And look at the way he changed Joe Linton's career. Yeah, he was a bundle of fun. Figure of fun, Joe Linton, man, up front. He was absolutely hopeless. He's the worst striker I've ever seen as a United fan. Eddie Howe puts in midfield, right? And he's turned into prime Casemiro for Real Madrid as well, let's be real. But you know what I mean? But he's been brilliant. He's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's been scoring goals. He's been making tackles. I mean, he's just been brilliant. He really has. But we love Eddie Howe here. The fans love him, by the way, for what he has done. He is so calm at the press conference. He doesn't get flustered. He chooses the right answers as well. He actually put the journalists in his place about human rights questions as well, but he wasn't interested in that at all whatsoever. So big up to Eddie. But look, at the end of the day, right, we could do a show later, and basically, this guy is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I get a lot of people saying that we're the richest club in the world. Eddie Howe should lay the foundations. He was not the right man for Newcastle United. We should have gone for a bigger name than Eddie Howe. And so, oh, hang on a minute, give this guy a chance. Give him a chance. I'm right behind him. And he has done a magnificent. He turned it around. No club has ever got out and beat a drop 14 games without a win. And Eddie Howe created history as well. And he's not getting enough praise from the pundits as well whatsoever. They'd rather big up Steve Bruce than Eddie Howe because they will be a threat putting in future seasons, getting in the top 4, getting in the top 6, winning a trophy, you know? But big up to Eddie Howe. I think he's been fantastic.
Of course, Steve Bruce started the season with Newcastle, and it was a very, very poor start. You won 0. He got a couple of draws along the way, quite a lot of defeats. What was the issue with Bruce?
Craig, I never wanted him in the first place. Excuse me, let's be real, right? When he was linked with Newcastle after Rafa Benitez has left the club, I thought, please no. And they brought him in because it's a Geordie and you keep our fans to shut our fans up. It didn't work at all. This manager is washed up. Yeah, he is absolutely yesterday's man. Steve Bruce, right, is an arrogant, two-faced manager. He doesn't allow an interviewer to finish off the questions, number one. Number two, the training methods is poor. He lives in Cheshire. Hardly turns up training, right? Then, right, he blames the fans and the press when things doesn't go our way, right? Yeah, he doesn't blame himself, yeah? And he's had issues with Matt Ritchie, an altercation Matt Ritchie on the pitch, yeah? And the players weren't happy about it, yeah? With Sean Longstaff, Alan Saint-Maximin as well. And he's very, very confrontational as well. But Steve Bruce, right? I mean, he just doesn't do tactics. He just rolls the ball on the pitch and he just let them play. Yeah, that's it. There's no tactical idea, tactical nous from him, you know. And he always plays the same formation, like a 3 at the back or sometimes 5 at the back. Yeah. But he doesn't know how to change a game, right? Players doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, and it's just a disgrace, man. I mean, he should have been sacked. I mean, I can remember the previous season before, the new season, we only won 2 games, Craig, in 21. He should have been sacked. He should have been sacked. But no manager survives on that. Mike Ashley, the owner, doesn't care. You know, all he cares about is finishing 17th place. That's not my ambition. That's not the fans' ambition, yeah? But Steve Bruce looked really stressed when he got beat off Brentford in the cup. He looked absolutely ill and stressed, yeah? Also against Brighton, right? He looked stressed again, right? And he didn't look happy. And I think to myself, if the pressure is too much for you, Steve, just resign. But he wouldn't do that. He would sign for other clubs. But the reason he didn't resign for Newcastle United is because there's 8 million reasons why he did not resign. Because he's waiting for his 8 million payoff. They wanted to sack him, so he gets 8 million quid. Yeah. But the funny thing is, though, I actually didn't sack him. The new owners did. They paid him 8 million to get rid of him, which I think is unfair. But Mike Ashley could have sacked him, and he didn't. Yeah. But Steve Bruce, if Steve Bruce is there now, we'd be relegated 100%. We will not be talking about players like Ekiteke, David Akers. We will not be talked about strikers which coming to the club and stuff, you know. And you know what it is, Craig? I think now we've got a club back. These new owners has got it absolutely right. They're listening to us. Steve, what Mike Ashley's done in 14 years, the new owners has done it in a couple of months.
With regards to Eddie Howe and when he took over, one thing that I thought, and from a Bournemouth fan, of course, he went up to Burnley. He cited personal reasons for leaving the club. And the view was, at the time, is that he didn't really enjoy it in Burnley. He was from Amersham, which is by here, High Wycombe. Of course, he moved down to Verwood when he was very, very young and had grown up in the area. Of course, Celtic come knocking as well at one point, and I wasn't really surprised when he didn't take that job. But looking at it now, you know, it makes me think, you know, that he just wanted to be in the Premier League. He didn't want to be in the Scottish Premiership. And when the Newcastle job come up, I honestly thought, well, it could have been a poison chalice, whereas it was such a difficult position that Steve Bruce had put the club in, that how was he going to get Newcastle moving forwards? A big club, lots of expectation. Did you think, when he first took over, did you think, right, this man's good, you know, he can get us out of this mess? Or did you think it's likely that we're going to go down to the Championship and have to rebuild under him next season?
In my honest opinion, I think the January transfer window will be a huge difference. We're determined whether we stay up or get relegated. We spent £93 million on 5 players, and one of us on loan, by the way, And Eddie Howe turned that club around. You get everyone a chance, and some performing, some wasn't performing. Eddie Howe knew it was the defence which needed fixing up. Yeah, he goes to bringing Dan Burn, Kieran Trippier, Matt Target to show up the defence, fix the defence, and we don't concede many goals. And he brought in Bruno Guimaraes, the Brazilian international from Lyon, £40 million, and that guy, he's my player of the season. I know he's been at the club for 6 months, but he's my player of the season. That guy is absolutely magnificent. And he detects the midfield. He came to CDM, but he scored 5 goals. You would have thought he should play as a number 10, but he's not. But this guy is well loved up here. And that was a cracking signing. I thought that was his signing, by the way. And up front, Chris Wood. Listen, Chris Wood only scored 2 goals since he's joined for £25 million. I thought he was going to be something like a £10 million signing. But when I heard it's £25 million, I thought, wow, £25 million. And he's just a target man. But the reason we got him is because we needed a striker. He came in and he did the job. Not my player, by the way. I don't rate him. But he would be our number 1 choice. But we bagged him as Callum Wilson up front. We really did, because he's out for 4 months with an injury. And he came back for the last 2 games and he made a difference. He made a huge difference. You would have thought he was a fresh player, but we've got good players there. It's just put them in the right areas and playing the style of play where we're going to enjoy watching. What Eddie Howe has done, he plays a 4-3-3, but apparently at Bournemouth, we played a 4-4-1-1. Sometimes he plays here at the back, but he plays a 4-4 or 4-5-1, and it works for him. But playing 4-3-3 suits us down the ground. I mean, I hope we play that same way next season, man, because we are playing some cracking stuff. We defend them properly. Midfield, lots better. We do need another midfielder, by the way, if we can get one. And up front, we need a top quality striker up front in the summer. But what Eddie Howe has done, £93 million, well worth it.
Of course, there is 3 players in particular that he knows from his time at Bournemouth. Callum Wilson, who you mentioned there, who we knew was an outstanding striker from the start. You know, we knew he was going to go up there and score goals. You got Matt Ritchie up there as well. Of course, he scored against us at Dean Court a couple of years back. Again, a very, very good player, well loved by the fans here. And then you've got another one, and that's Ryan Fraser. And you probably know the story with the COVID situation that Ryan Fraser decided that he wasn't going to stay at the club. He wasn't going to play after Project Restart. And in a way, at that Everton game, last game of the season at Goodison Park, Eddie Howe looked very dejected. And of course, after that, he left the club. I think one of the players that let him down was Ryan Fraser. Has Ryan Fraser repaid him?
He's had some good games for him, by the way, to be fair. When he comes in, he works hard for the team and gives it all. Not scored enough goals for me, but at the end of the day, I think Eddie and Ryan get on really well. And there's no issues between the two. I can guarantee you that. I mean, he is picking him, which I think is a good thing. But if I had not picked him for the games, there would have been a problem. But listen, there's no issues between Eddie and Ryan, as far as I know. And I think it's fine. He just works out for the team. And I want to see a different Ryan Fraser next season. I want to see him taking on players, getting those crosses in, by the way. But his work rate is fantastic. But he's having a lot of injuries at the minute at Newcastle. And that is the thing. So, and if he plays 38 games next season, I think Ryan Fraser will be a fantastic one. You know, he could save us millions in the transfer market, you know, but we definitely need a right side midfielder. And for me, I'll put him in the squad as a squad player.
To be honest, when Eddie got that job, I thought that Ryan Fraser was going to be straight away on the transfer list. I thought, you know, he's let Eddie down here. He was somebody who we could have done with after that restart, and he was nowhere to be seen. But no, it's good that that's actually been all brushed under the carpet and all resolved. Do you think Ryan Fraser is going to get a good reception when he comes back down here?
I doubt it very much, I'm afraid. I don't think he would at all whatsoever. Callum Wilson will, but Ryan Fraser, absolutely no chance whatsoever. And it's just the way he left your club. Listen, if he had stayed to the very end, right, even if we weren't relegated, And he thought, yeah, and he would have got a good reception with what he's done because of his attitude. But if I was a Bournemouth fan, right, I'll tell you something, Fraser would just would get it. He would definitely get it from your fans, real talk, because at the end of the day, right, your fans don't forget things like that. Our fans don't forget things like that, you know. If you did this to Newcastle, then I tell you something, my advice to Ryan, don't touch St. James's Park.
Don't step inside it. And of course, Matt Ritchie as well there. What does the future hold for Matt Ritchie? Because he is one of the older squad members. Is it likely that Matt Ritchie is going to be finding himself out the door at St. James's Park, regardless of his good relationship with Eddie?
If I'm going to be honest with you, Craig, I think he's done. He was done a couple of seasons ago. He should never sign that new 3-year contract. That's because that was Mike Ashley's decision, not Bruce's. But listen, he's been a great servant. He's been in the club since 2016, right? He dropped to the championship with us under Rafa Benitez, right? 6 seasons at the club. I cannot fault his work rate and his graft and his aggression, yeah. But at the end of the day, the guy's 32, coming on 33. I think it's time for him to move on first. So if you want him back, you can have him back. But he will work so hard for you. I really do. That for me, I think you need to move on from Matt. It's a shame, but hey, lovely person, lovely lad, and he loves the fans. We love him, but all things must come to an end for Matt Ritchie. I'm afraid I can't lie, but hey ho.
Of course, one player that Newcastle have been linked with, and you did mention it there as well, was Nathan Ake. If rumours are to be believed, he can leave Manchester City at the end of this season, which is a shame for him because he has done well when called upon. He's a very, very talented defender. Do you think Newcastle are in pole position for Ake, or do you think that Man City might decide that they want to keep hold of him, send him out on loan, and Bournemouth might get a sniff in?
I like Nathan Ake. I think he's a decent defender, whether it's you guys, yeah. But the problem is, right, he hasn't hardly played for a couple yet, and that is the thing. I want my defenders to come in, or any player for that matter, to come in ready, yeah. We don't really want to get a defender who has to play for a couple of seasons. And that means he's got to do pre-season training. He's got to get back up to speed. And look, I've got no issues with Nathan Ake. The guy's, 5'11", right? He's not as big as the defender, so I can't lie. But he plays the ball from the back, which I think is good. And the guy can tackle. He's got pace as well, by the way, which I do like. He's quick.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. But we're after Sven Botman from Lille. But AC Milan's after him as well. I've always said, Craig, that he's going to end up going to AC Milan. Real talk, yeah. And Newcastle fans are just running the gobs, saying, John, shut up, man. F off this and that, and tough ass sort of thing. You know what I mean about Sven Botman. And I said to people, right, Sven Botman would have come to Newcastle by now if he wanted to come, but he's waiting for AC Milan. Now, AC Milan's got taken over, and he's going to choose AC Milan because it's the best thing in the world, essentially. Champions League as well. So I reckon Nathan Ake, I think if he does come, I'm going to back him because he used to work with Eddie Howe when he was at Bournemouth. And we've got to wait and see on that one. But I'm sure there'll be other clubs after him. So this is the thing with Newcastle United. And I thought this today, right? I love Eddie Howe. But the question is Eddie Howe a big enough name to attract these top players? And that is my only worry about it. But I keep him. I keep Eddie Howe 110%. But at the end of the day, right, that's me because I get a lot of people saying that he may not be a big enough name to attract these big players to come to the club. But Eddie Howe, he's my manager, and you want to come to play for the club? You don't want to play for the club? We get someone else in.
One of the things that was always rumoured, and I've heard it through the grapevine. I know that Steve Fletcher's mentioned it before about how and also the predecessors to him as well did attract people to Bournemouth. And what they used to do was take him on a little bit of a drive down to the beachfront, round sandbanks and back to the stadium to sign the contract. And I think it worked. The players that we attracted in our Premier League years was impressive. some of the players like Danjuma, like Ake, amongst others as well, keeping players as well. With regards to Bruno Guimaraes, I know that he was wanted by Juventus. What do you think Eddie said to him to actually attract him to Newcastle?
And Arsenal as well, buddy, because Arsenal has packed him up as well for quite a long time. They won him from last season as well. We got him from the Arsenal's nurses and all the Arsenal fans, special AFTV, League Gunner, and all them as well. I'm not very happy at all whatsoever. They are not. But, pardon me, we sold Bruno the project. Newcastle, richest club in the world, is going to get bigger. Eddie Howe's a great manager. He'd be the first team. But if Bruno went to Juve, he would have been on the season on loan, future permanent buy. You want to check him out and see if he's any good. That's what I've heard. But at the end of the day, I think, look, it's the fans, the stadium. Listen, Newcastle, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful city, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of these top class players don't know about Newcastle. All they know about is London. That is the thing. I think what you just said there, if Eddie Howe can show them the area and the city and the town, whatever, if he does the same thing with us, right, with that player, I tell you something, that's flipping good management there. Bloody good management. Because that is a smart manager. Most people just come in and just show them the stadium, and that's it. But you're right. But back on Bruno, I mean, he wanted to play in the Premier League, and he chose Newcastle over us because of the project. And I'm surprised myself that he chose us over Arsenal and Juve for that matter. But I think Bruno's made the right choice. I love him. I think he's great. He's in international. He works hard for the team. Big up Bruno.
And of course, one thing that I said the other day, and I did, and it's very early doors, but I did a little bit of a prediction of where everybody's going to finish. Of course, we didn't finish in the bottom three. I think that might be my heart speaking rather than my head at this moment in time. But I said Newcastle would finish third. Do you agree with that? Or what would you be happy with?
I tell you what, though. If we finish third next season, right, I'll give you 100 quid to the charity of your choice, okay? It ain't gonna happen. I'd say 6 or 7 for me. I think, what makes you going to make us finish third next season?
I think what Eddie will do is he will bring in the right players in the right positions. I think he'll strengthen not only the starting 11, but also the bench. So there's a threat when changes need to be made coming off the bench as well. And I think that's one thing that with Scott Parker that we've sometimes been a little bit sceptical of. We've got a strong squad for the Championship, but sometimes we thought, well, he hasn't really got that plan B. Eddie's got a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. He's got it all. And during times in our Premier League years, for example, Liverpool beaten 4-3. We used to be Chelsea's Achilles heel. That we always used to seem to beat Chelsea. The only team that we didn't actually beat of the top 6, so to speak, was Manchester City. We beat Man United. We come back in games. Everton was another one that we seem to always get positive results out of. So I think that's why I think you will finish in that top 4. And that's why I think that Liverpool Man City 2 will be very, very difficult to break down for anybody who's however much money they spend. But I think that we'll definitely finish above Chelsea. I think they'll have a bit of a transition period. Manchester United, I don't think are all that. And Spurs are a little bit hit and miss. And Everton, well, I haven't really got a clue what's happening to Everton. And, well, Arsenal as well. They're a bit like Spurs. They're a bit hit and miss. That's why I think Eddie will get Newcastle moving forwards. What do you think is the positions that Eddie needs to strengthen on during this summer period?
Well, after Hugo Ekiteke, he plays on the right and can play out front as well, a 19-year-old kid from him. And everything's been agreed on a 5-year contract. But according to the Daily Express, Sunday Express, one of the judges said that he ain't going to come because he's not convinced about moving to Newcastle. He wants to go to a bigger club. But someone needs to talk to Hugo Ekiteke right now, right? Get him to talk to David Ginola, get him to talk to Laurent Robert, get him to talk to Olivier Bernard, all three ex-French players that used to play for Newcastle United, right? He needs advice. He needs advice to speak to those guys and ask them that question. What is it like to play for Newcastle United? Yeah, and how big can they be, right? He needs to ask that question. And I'm amazed that David Ginola hasn't even come up to and asking that question. That kid needs advice, yeah? And I guarantee you now, he'll soon change his mind, David, but that's his choice. He don't want to come. But as far as I'm concerned, I think he could be coming. So we definitely need up front. We need a right side midfield. We need a left side midfield as well to competition ASM. We need another midfielder. We definitely need a centre back again. I mean, we could do the left back as well because Lordy will be linked to Atletico Madrid. And we definitely need a goalkeeper. No disrespect to Mal Barca, but he's not very good with his feet. That is the thing. And we'd be linked with Dean Henderson for the last few weeks, in fact, months, as well, through 5 competition, yeah? But Eddie Howe wants a goalkeeper that can play with his feet. They play the ball out from the back. And Barca, even though he's a great shot stopper, his distribution when he kicks the ball out is very poor. And that's that. Do you know what I'd go for? I'll probably go for Bert Leno as well, because he can play the ball out from the back as well, and he's very clever.
Yeah. You mentioned there the left midfield position, and one player that did very, very well at Villarreal, who Eddie will know well, is Arnaut Danjuma. Would you take him?
100%. I mean, that guy is brilliant. I mean, he's done well at Villarreal. Got him to the semi-finals of the Champions League with the Spanish outfit, yeah? He's done well for you guys. Very skillful. And I'd love to take him. The problem is, he wants to play in the Champions League. That's why Liverpool and United are after him anyway. But again, if you want to play in the first team, play every week, then he's got to come to Newcastle to provide competition for ASM. And if ASM doesn't fix up, then he could take over and then he's got to work for his place. But I'd love to take him because he's a quality player. We need quality players and he'd be realistic as well.
He's really exceptional. He's an exceptional midfielder, and some of the things that he was doing in the Championship, last season was unbelievable. Unfortunately, there was no way, seeing as we didn't go up, that we was going to keep hold of him. And I think during Eddie's time there, he was very unlucky that he was quite injury prone. But he's now got 2 seasons under his belt, and I think he'd be a fantastic signing for Newcastle. Is there a worry if you can't break into that top 6 next season, that it's becoming more and more of a closed shop because of the Champions League, the Europa League, that players are going to go to those clubs? Man United, for example, the Chelseas, the Arsenals, Spurs, and of course the top 2 of Liverpool and Man City. Do you think it's becoming that much of a closed shop that it's difficult to attract players and say, look, we're not playing Champions League football, but that is what we're aspiring to? And how would Eddie get around that?
Bring in some top quality players and sell the project to Newcastle United. That is the only way. But one thing I'm going to say as well, I mean, you just mentioned it's going to be top is going to be a closed shop. In my opinion, I think it already is, because what it is, right, all the Premier League care about is top 6. That is it. They did not want to take over to happen, but the really reason they've done it is to shut our fans up. That is the thing. And they didn't want the Saudis to take over because they was going to be run by Saudi state, but it's never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's the piracy. That is the thing. They sort of the piracy out, and that's what we've got to take over. But if you look at the teams just mentioned there, I think Tottenham are going to be very close to winning the title next season on the Conte. They're going to be very close. I think Man City, Liverpool's going to be difficult. Chelsea, transitional period next season. Depends who they buy, of course. I think Arsenal, they're going to probably get top 6 again. I don't think they get top 4 until they get rid of Mikel Arteta. I don't think he's the guy. I really don't. Leicester City, under Brendan Rodgers, to change things up. I think Leicester will find a way of getting back into the top 6. Poor season, probably get away with it. But as for Newcastle, if we're going to get in the top 6 and these people are going to be serious, then we will spend the money on the right players, 110%. But would they want to come to Newcastle United? And the answer to that one is probably not at this time, because they want to play Champions League football. That is the thing. And it's all about playing in Champions League. This is why they want a Super League. And I do not want a Super League. If they have a Super League, though, Craig, then I'm just going to be done with football, because at the end of the day, it's all about the top 6. That is it. But going back to your question, we're going to give it a go next season. I really do think we'll give it a go. But if Eddie Howe took over in October, we'll be 6th. If the season started in January, we'll be 4th at this minute. But we only got beat by the top teams: Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, and of course Everton since the turn of the year. And in most of the games, apart from Man City, Liverpool, and Spurs, we have not conceded more than a goal. We have not conceded more than a goal this year. So that tells me Eddie Howe's fixed the defence properly.
And he's an outstanding manager, and I think he will only go from strength to strength at Newcastle. I think he will challenge that top 4, and I'm sticking by 3rd at the moment. I think he will get it right. We'll have to see when the season gets a little bit closer who he's signed, but I think he will get it right. I think it will be sensible signings. It might not be the marquee signings that Newcastle fans want, but I think it will be the signings which will make the side better. With regards to the rest of the league, and more importantly us, what do you think we're in for next season? Do you think it's going to be a real struggle for us to stay up? Or do you think, considering, looking at the 3 teams that have come up, we play the most like a Premier League team, are a bit more direct. Forest have had a lot of players on loan, but we do pass it about. We're very controlled, we're managed, and then take the opportunities when they come along. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think all 3 of us are going to go down, or do you think we could surprise some?
I think unless Bournemouth spend some money, then I think Thomas Solanke, even though he's got you the goals, I don't know if he's going to do in the Premier League. I just don't think he will. You definitely need a striker. I think you need about 5 or 6 players, couple on loan as well. And then he may just do it. You know what I mean? The defence needs to be fixed up as well. Fulham is how they do. It depends on the Mitrovic. If he gets the goals and you keep the defence tight, cool, then he'd be fine. But they need to improve as well. Nottingham Forest, out of the 3 teams, and I don't want to say this, I think Nottingham Forest are the best placed team. Best team to come out of the Championship. And I think if they keep those same players like Spence and Garner, you got Kelvin Davis is good. Your guy, Steve Cook, defending well. I think he's been brilliant in the Championship for me. And Joe Wall as well. I think he'd be fine. But Nottingham Forest will be okay. But for me, Southampton, I tell you what, they need to sort the side out real quick. Because I tell you something now, they're going to be in big, big trouble. They ended the season poorly. Ended the season poorly, man. And that's shocking. But Hattahusl, I think he's a brilliant manager, but he needs to be backed by this new ownership. But Bournemouth, if you finish 17th, just accept it. Just appreciate it.
I think we take that. And I think we need to look at the goalkeeping position. I think although Travers is fantastic in goal, he's a young goalkeeper. What happens if there's an injury? I don't think we've got any backup really there. I think on the right-hand side of the defence we need to look at, and also the central too. So we've got Kelly there at the moment, but I think we need a couple more defenders. We've been linked, of course. Nat Phillips was on loan here, so it'd be good to make him permanent. And Ko Ikatura. And I think on the left-hand side, I think we need somebody, left-hand side of midfield, I think we need somebody also to give Jaden Anthony a little bit of competition, just in case Jaden Anthony needs a little bit of time just to get to the level. I think he will do, but I think it'll take a bit of time. But I think we probably need a good 5-6 signings, and I'd take Ashley Barnes up front because I know he's out of contract from Burnley. But is there any Bournemouth players that you would take at this moment in time and think, well, Eddie knows them, and do you think they could be good prospects for Newcastle?
We was after Lloyd Kelly for quite a while at the back. I mean, I don't watch a lot of Lloyd Kelly, but I know he's quick, and he's not the biggest defender, by the way, but he's a good defender, by the way. Whether you take up in the Premier League, that'd be another story. But I think Lloyd Kelly's been mentioned. Travis has mentioned as well, and Gould. Solanke I've mentioned as well. Nat Phillips as well has done fantastic. Ryan Christie as well. Ex-Celtic, I think he's a decent little player. I think he's okay. In that Dan Juma, I'd take him all day long. Philip Billing as well, the big guy. I tell you what, he is the linchpin in the midfield. Those driving runs in midfield from him, 6'5". He is absolutely good. He's a good player. But you mentioned Ashley Barnes as well. If I was you, I'd take him because it'll give you experience. It'll give you a focal point, and I think it'd be a type of striker for your club would do all right.
I'm quite pleased you haven't mentioned one man, but I'm going to mention him anyway. Jordan Zamora on left back, I think, is a player who we will have to fight hammer and tong eventually to keep hold of. Even though he's never played in the Premier League, I think he's going to take to it like a duck to water. I think he's going to be fantastic for us and outstanding player. And I think I would not be surprised if Eddie does look at him eventually. How much do you know of him?
Zamora,
yeah.
I don't know a lot about this guy at all whatsoever. But again, I think he's quick.
Yeah.
And he defends properly, but I don't know much of him at all whatsoever. It's just a bit of a wild guess, but you know more than I do, to be fair. But he's a highly rated sort of thing. He takes it in the Premier League. It could be another Tyrone Mitchell for Palace, another someone like him. So is it Tyrone Mitchell, the one who plays left back for Palace? Similar to him, but listen, I just think it's absolutely just go for it. Do you know what I mean? But we definitely watch your team as well. See how they do. But I do the watch alongs as well, and I think it's gonna be great. But look, you're in the Premier League. You got to enjoy it.
I know. Oh, definitely, and you know it's going to be. Oh, honestly, mate, and it's great. You know, we're not looking forward to VAR. I'll be perfectly honest. You know, that's the one thing of the Premier League that we're a bit like, oh no, we've got that coming back. Yeah. But you know, we're really looking forward to it. I think if we're offered 17th tomorrow, we would take it all day long. But we have got we've got some good, talented youngsters, Jaden Anthony, Jordan Zamora, who will, I believe, step up to the plate. Last question on Eddie Howe, and I know this is one that you're probably not going to like, considering how well he's done at Newcastle, how well he did here. Future England manager.
He's going to sign a new contract anyway before the start of the season. That's true. But if we talked it off air, but if he's linked with the England job, if Gareth Southgate decides to call it a day, I'm just going to wish him all the best because he deserves it. Do you know what I mean? But managing England, you don't turn on England, don't you? You don't ever turn on England. It's your country. It's number one. It's an honour to manage the national team, right? And if I put the paper say Eddie Howe's new England manager, excuse me, I'll be gutted. I'll be gutted. Absolutely gutted. But at the same time, I wish Eddie all the best because he truly deserves it, man. He really, really does. And great managers managing the national teams. Roberto Mancini, Italy, yeah. Luis Enrique, yeah. Great player for Barca. Spanish manager, yeah. Hartman's, I'm afraid. I'll be gutted, but no one did not turn down an England job. But what will happen is, if Eddie Howe's name is being linked to an England job, and I think Newcastle owners will fight tooth and nail to keep on to him. Do you know what I mean? Is he ready to take it on? Not yet. Give it another 3 or 4 more years and then go for it. Do you know what I mean? I think he's a perfect man for an England job for me. But at the meantime, he's got to be a Newcastle manager. But the only time we'll leave Newcastle to take the England job if we get Diego Simeone as our next Newcastle manager. That is the manager I want at Newcastle.
You never know. Eddie could well, if he pulls off something remarkable, which, let's be honest, he's already done, from getting us from -17 all the way to the Premier League, which was, let's be honest, completely unthinkable. Eddie could be the first English manager to win the Premier League. Where, on the grand scale of things, where would that rate in football terms? Not just Newcastle and Bournemouth, but where would it rate in football terms if he did win it?
For me, right at the very, very top. If you're a Newcastle fan, yeah, but it's going to eclipse Jurgen Klopp and Pep. Probably not, but that will be a telling story. I mean, Craig, we haven't won the Premier League since 1927, which is a long, long time ago, right? We haven't won a major trophy since 1969. We haven't won the FA Cup since 1955. So if Eddie Howe wins us any trophy, right, the Carabao Cup, it'd be an instant legend. Yeah, if he wins us the Premier League, it's still he's be up in folklore. Let's be real, because he gets us a trophy, he gets the Premier League, he gets the freedom of Newcastle, 100%. There'd be a statue of him as well. And let's put it, if he wins us a trophy or a Premier League, then he decides to walk away, we will not step in this way. We will not step in this way. But it is what it is. Does that, he'd be an instant hero for the rest of life. In fact, Newcastle will be a no-go area. That city will be absolutely chained up and you will not get in. But when it's a trophy, it's one thing. Doing it, having a go is another thing. But I just want to win the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup first and get in the top 4. Get in the top 4 first and see how it goes. Newcastle fans are quite happy to be in the top 10 and a cup run. I've got elite mentality, yeah? I want to be in the top 4. But I'll expect us to be in the top 6 next season. Get in the top 6. We have improved.
Well, you never know. From 91st in the Football League to the very, very top would be and honestly, I would absolutely love to see it happen unless we do a Leicester. We do a Leicester, and I think that's so unlikely, to be honest.
Good, I can't see it. It will never ever happen again, because that's a one-off story. That is a dream. That is an absolute dream at the moment in time. And listen, that will never happen again. There were 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League. Let's be real, and they've deserved it. They played good football. They had a right goal. There was no fear for them. Let's be real. I think it's been brilliant. I mean, for Leicester to win the Premier League, it's really different. It's a fairy tale. I mean, it wouldn't be good for the Premier League. They didn't want Leicester to win. They wanted a top 6 to win, any of the top 4, top 6 to win the Premier League. Yeah. But one thing we'll say, if Newcastle United win the Premier League, I don't think journalists like Oliver Holt, Miguel Delaney, Rob Draper, all these proper journalists, right, will not be impressed at all. They're going to call us a sports washing club. And let's be real, I think they should not ever come into Newcastle United Stadium to witness it, because the way they cost us, and some of the guys from Talk Sport cost us as well, ban them and all. But it'd be fantastic. I'm 52. I can't wait another 20 years to see us win a title. Do you know what I mean? But hey, let's hope that we do it. But it's going to take time.
Never know. You never know, mate. You never know. But thank you so much for coming on the show, John. It's been a real pleasure. And before you go, just give a shout out about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, of course you can. I mean, before coming to YouTube, I mean, you can find us on John Sinclair TV on Facebook, John Sinclair TV on Twitch, John Sinclair 50 lower cases on Insta, John_NFC 42, and on YouTube it's John Sinclair TV. And I'll do the watch-alongs, I'll do the latest news, transfer news, I'll do fans forum. I'll be doing that when the new season starts. I'll go on the John and Macy show on Tuesday. I host that with Macy, Man United fan, on a Tuesday. She's absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Love her pieces. She's just got 1K, by the way. So big up to Macy, by the way. Do subscribe to Devils United and hit that subscribe button for Macy. She'll love you forever if you did that. And I do like breaking news. I do little clips of the transfer update, which I've done yesterday, which got over 1,000 views. I've also, as well, Craig, I only had 2,570 subscribers yesterday. Right now,
excellent.
I've got 2,618. I had 48 new subscribers from
brilliant
in the last 24 hours. So I must have done something right. And it's just the little clips I've been doing. So yeah, listen, if you hit the like, subscribe button as well, John Sinclair TV, and you will not be disappointed. And I do regular streams, regular contents, and listen, just do it. Just please do it. If you like Newcastle and football in general, hit the like, subscribe, and also share.
And all the details will be in the description below this video. But like I say, John, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for the time, Craig, and we've got to do it again. Hopefully, for the preview next season, I'll get you on, and it'd be fantastic.
Yep, most definitely. Thanks so much, mate.
Thank you. Thanks very much indeed.
And thank you, everybody, for joining me on this special show. Please do remember to hit that like, that subscribe, and that bell button below to be alerted to any new videos we do here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Please also do remember to subscribe to Cherries Extra. And the link will be in the main page right down the very bottom, where I mention any transfer news that might be going on at Dean Court. Please do check out all of our other videos as well. We've got all our opposition preview shows, all our raw reaction, including a bit of a drunk evening against Nottingham Forest, as you can probably guess. We've also got chats with Steve Cook, now, of course, a Premier League player with Nottingham Forest. We've also got Steve Fletcher, Andy Bernal, of course, Harry. How can we forget Harry? Luther Blizzard and Effa Nakuku, many, many more as well. So please do remember to support the channel, like, subscribe, and we will have loads of new content coming up for our first season back in the Premier League. Can't wait. I'm sure you can't either, Cherries. I'll see you in the next one.